Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Diego and DeVore show, and they pulled somebody up from the grave, Derek Flair, and here I am to tell you that you're in the right place. Whenever you see the Diego and DeVore show on your screen, you are in the right place, and it's going to be big woo tonight.
Hi, wrestling fans. This is Gary Whitehurst, former ring announcer with NACW and other indie organizations in the Carolinas for many years. When it comes to all things wrestling, you're in the right place with the Diego and DeVore Wrestling Podcast. When it comes to travel and vacations, you come to me. Once we get through this pandemic, I can make your vacation dreams come true, whether it be an exciting cruise, an all-inclusive resort, international land vacation, and so much more. I'll take care of you. Why me? Well, I will be your one contact person. No long hold times with Booking Direct or big online agencies. And my rate will never be higher than Booking Direct, and I do not charge a booking agency planning fee. How do you reach me? Well, I'm so glad you asked. I'm based in Tampa, Florida, and I can be reached at area code 561-424-6003. That's 561-424-6003. My email is gwhitehurst@cruiseandtravelexperts.com. That's GWHITEHURST at CRUISEANDTRAVELEXPERTS.com. My website is gtravel.cruiseandtravelexperts.com. Hey, I got something great for you now. If you make a reservation with me and mention the Diego and DeVore Wrestling Podcast, I'll give you a cruise onboard credit or amenity. You can't beat that. And now, let's get back to the Diego and DeVore Podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Diego and DeVore show. Mr. DeVore is on vacation again, to an extended vacation, so got himself a nice little house on the beach. So it'll be probably another couple weeks before he gets back to civilization. Good for him, bad for me because I get to do all this fun stuff by myself. Really not so bad for me. I really enjoy doing this, but it's good to have my tag team partner here with me. So I'll cut it to the quick. Tonight is one of those things we haven't covered this in a while. Every time we cover a subject like this, always something goes wrong on my side. If it's not technical equipment crapping out, if my glasses broke not earlier, my cat's going crazy, and my dogs are looking everywhere. So you know where we're going with this tonight. So let's go get down to it. So tonight, Paranormal Research team from Arkansas, they are determined to get to the bottom and down to the truth. Please welcome the founder and lead investigator of Para3vident, Joshua Bandy. Joshua, welcome to the Diego and DeVore show. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. And I know you and I, we've been in contact for the last several weeks, and the stars are aligned, the planets are in the perfect shape, and we're ready to go.
Definitely, yeah, we're doing this.
Absolutely. Hey, man, thanks again. So, let's get down to it. So, and I know there's a lot of paranormal research teams out there, and everybody has their own different spin on how they do things. So let's say if I were somebody and there's things going crazy at my house or wherever it is that I go, what would I expect from someone when they come to my place for a paranormal investigation?
Well, first of all, we're going to make sure that, you're not a crazy person. We'll do that very delicately, obviously, but we're going to make sure you know what's going on. And if everything seems to check out, we don't want to waste our time or yours. So then we'll if everything's cool, we'll get to the house. We'll check things out. We'll try to, debunk everything, try to find a good reason for this happening, because I'd say at least 50 to 60% of the time there's an explanation for what's going on in the house, but that other 40%, it's right up our alley. So we get in there and, check things out, and we'll pull out some equipment, stuff like that. And usually, if people really want our help, we'll investigate. We'll try to find them some evidence. We'll get our cameras out, bust them out, and show them what we got going on. And then usually after, if we show them what they got and what we got. And after that, we usually sage the house, or we use sage or Palo Santo, whatever they prefer, because the sage will just wipe out all the energy in the house, good and bad. And the Palo Santo will just take the negative energy out and leave the positive energy in there. So it really depends what they want. We've done that for quite a few people, actually, and we've had good results with that.
Right. So it's interesting you mentioned that, because in the old days, and I don't think that's very common in today's more secularized society that we have now, to where when somebody purchased a home, they move into either an apartment or somewhere. Back in the day, when I was growing up, this is back in the day, they used to either call the preacher or the priest to bless the house.
Yeah.
And then, or if you're more of a New Age person or more, outside of a church church faith, someone would come in and sage the house.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know people that they do it weekly. They sage themselves, even their house, everything weekly. Some people do it every day when they wake up as part of their routine. It just, it depends on what you got going on. A lot of times if there's something, you and your partner have had a really big fight, and you want to get that energy out. It's not just paranormal type stuff. It can be any kind of energy, any bad, whatever, juju going on in the house, get it out of there. And it's not always a cure-all either, it doesn't always work. A lot of times the the activity will heighten for a little bit before it dies down. It's crazy.
Now, because you mentioned negative energy, and it's something that's it's well believed to where an entity or a being, they feed off of that negative energy, right?
Yeah, definitely. They definitely do. And also, they feed off attention, giving them attention. The more attention you give them, the more, craziness they're going to show you, because, hey, they notice me, you know what I mean? It's just like a person, That's the way you got to look at it. People think of a ghost as this mythological being, but, a ghost is just a human being that used to be, you know what I mean?
Very true, because now, one of the things that I was told and I've learned during the years is it's not maybe the home that's haunted, maybe it's the land itself, right?
Sure, the land, the person even. There's people that it follows them around everywhere. It could be any of those things. An object even can have that effect.
And so with it following you, so there are certain categories of ghosts or demons. So what would be one that would be that follows their family generation to generation? Is that more of like a poltergeist that does that?
Well, a poltergeist is more like, they're just more moving stuff around, throwing stuff, violent. They've got that kind of energy. That's what a poltergeist would be. But someone who follows, it just usually means you have an entity attached to you. Generally that's what that means. I guess I haven't really heard of one that's attached to a whole family. But I suppose if the family lived in the house for a long time, or an object passed from a great-great-great-grandfather all the way down, it's definitely a possibility, sure, yeah.
All right, I guess if that entity or the ghost hasn't had any closure.
Sure, yeah, exactly, yeah. We don't really know exactly what it is, but closure is, seems to be a big point on that.
Right, so when you get the call and then you say you have to weed out, like you say, the crazy, who you feel is true or who's not true. So let's say you and your team are getting ready to go investigate something. What do you do to protect yourself? Is there a ritual that you do? Are you a praying man? Are you a meditating man? What is it that you do before you enter someone's house?
Absolutely, yeah. I am a meditating man. I'm not a huge praying man. I do believe there's something there, but we always do a protected prayer before we go or before we start, and when we finish, we tell the entities, spirits, whatever, that you can't follow us, you can't attach to anything, any of our equipment, anything at all. There's always a ritual before and after, always, for protection. I've seen crazy things happen, people getting scratched and stuff like that, and I also, and this could be just a kind of just something I do for me, but I have a bracelet that I wear every time. I guess it's kind of like my own ritual, but it's got all the beads on it. You know what I mean? Like protection, bracelet, healing, all that good stuff. So.
So you do that before any of your investigation. Now, is the whole team in on it the same way? How they approach it? Yeah.
Okay, we're all together. We do it together. Yeah. We light a candle. We do it, and then we light a candle at the end and blow the candle out. It's kind of our own little thing we got.
Yeah. So you go there, and it's one of those things where I don't, and I'll tell you because I'm gonna say let down, but I don't like watching too much television. I figure because by the time a product goes on television, it's so watered down and sanitized. It's basically I'm not believing anything they're saying.
Yeah, no, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So when it comes to paranormal investigating teams, I have very little faith in what's going on the TV because at the end of the day, they're just trying to entertain people.
Yeah. Well, I have put in my mission statement, I guess you could call it, that I will not fake anything. I do want to entertain people, but, if they're not entertained by what I'm putting out, then I guess, if you want to watch fake stuff, yeah, it's entertaining, but I mean, don't you want to know what is really going on? You know what I mean? I know it's hard to weed that out because you never know, but I will tell you this, if anybody watches our stuff, it's all legit. Everything legit. I don't play around like that. I don't keep string around the house or nothing like that,
Right. And so let's get into that because I know you have your team has a YouTube channel, but let's talk about a current case that something that you've worked on recently. Can you let us in a little bit about that and what went on, and how did the client approach you before you even went over there?
Well, I'll tell you about this. It's actually my dad's girlfriend. Her mother passed in the house, so I mean, I already kind of knew she wasn't messing around with me because my dad actually lives there, and so we went over there and we kind of got a feel for the house. There's definitely a good static kind of feeling there, you just kind of felt the energy in there. But we got in there and we used some of our equipment, and we actually, she said that the voice coming through on the spirit box was her mother. And when we were ending and wrapping things up after we'd already talked to her, and we've gotten a lot of stuff on footage, like electromagnetic spikes. We got an SLS camera, structured light sensor. That's actually just really, it's Xbox Connect. I'm sure maybe you've seen it. It kind of shows the stick figures, stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen anything like that, but
I'm not too familiar with the Xbox. The last thing I ever owned was an N64.
Well, the Xbox Connect is just the bar that kind of, so where you can stand in front of the screen and move, and it gets your movement.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So that's what that was designed for. Most, in my experience, most paranormal equipment is generally something that was used for something else that, happened to work for us. But anyway, so I actually built it myself, the SLS camera. It's got the Xbox, the Connect on there, and a tablet. And there's a program on the tablet you get on there, and it maps out human figures. It's a stick figure, head, arms, all that stuff. We actually got what appeared to be her mom, it's just a stick figure, obviously, but on the bed, on the spot that she passed out on, just standing there, okay? And then, like I said, when we were wrapping things up, she says, "I love you, Mom." And it goes, clear as day, man. I love you. Clear as, yeah. You can, on the video, you can just see my face just light up. It was awesome.
Now, you mentioned a spirit box. Now, I've heard this device before. Now, how does it work? Is this, if I'm not mistaken, is this one of those pieces of electronic equipment where it surfs radio waves back and forth?
Yeah, that's the one. It's virtually a radio that's just, going through radio stations. Just you can control the speed. You can go reverse. All that stuff. And spirits are said to speak through the white noise through there. Yeah.
Now, is this during, and please forgive my ignorance because, I'm really dipping my toes into this because I'm trying to separate, the old term Hollywood versus history. So I'm looking. So does it surf FM waves or is it AM?
Either one, you can choose FM, AM, it doesn't matter. And the one I own, I actually took the antenna out. I got in there, opened it up, took the antenna completely out of it. So there's barely any radio at all. So because a lot of people would say, oh, that's just the radio bleeding through, and sometimes it is. I'm not going to say it's not. Sometimes it is, but if you use it enough, you start to be able to know what is and what isn't,
Right.
Like I said, though, I removed the antennas, so there's a lot less radio there.
Very good, because someone would be inclined, where would I buy something like this? But you're the kind of person that you basically designed your own.
Well, I bought it, honestly. I
Mm-hmm.
bought it off of Amazon. I just I like to hack it to fit my needs best.
Right.
And then all the stuff for the SLS camera I was telling you about, I bought all the stuff separately on Amazon and just kind of put it together to fit my need. You can buy any of this stuff on Amazon.
Amazon has everything. They're going to own the world one day.
Yeah, exactly. Old Bezos getting on the moon and everything.
Yes, Mr. Skynet himself. So,
yeah, no kidding.
So during that investigation, so how long did it take, and so what was the end result after everything was done and over with?
Just that, I asked her if she wanted me to bless the house. She didn't feel like really didn't want to get her mom gone, honestly. So I didn't even bless the house. I just showed her the evidence that we collected, and that was really the end of that one, because she didn't want to kick her mom out of her own house, But I did tell her if things were to ever feel negative or danger, she felt any kind of danger, to let me know, and I'd come over and bless the house.
Right. Now, is there a possibility, and I don't know because I wasn't there,
Sure.
that entities are known to be not quite always tell the truth?
Yeah.
So is there a possibility, and like I said, I really don't know. I don't want to say yes or no, that it could be maybe masquerading as her mother. It could just be something else with ill intent down the road.
100%. It definitely could be. And that's why I told her, to let me know. But you could, a lot of times when it's something like that, you can kind of feel, it's a different kind of feeling when you're around this kind of stuff a lot. It's definitely a different kind of feeling. And there's even ones that mimic the sound of our loved ones. So that's pretty scary. But like I said, I did tell her if anything felt, bad at all, to let me know, and I'd come over and get the job done, But she was really not having the whole get rid of my mom talk.
Well, no, who would, right? I mean, we all love mom.
Exactly.
And so, let's go down maybe a different case to where it was something that was up to no good, and you had to wind up basically cleansing and getting rid of this entity from the home itself. So if you can, do you have a story to where it's one of those where, oh my goodness, something's not right here?
Yeah, well, I had a girl contact me on our Facebook page. She lived in the area, so that was convenient. She sent me a video of the lights in her house. The lamp just kept going on and off, on and off, on and off, and she was tripping. And she had another instance where she was on a Zoom call with somebody on her phone, and she was talking to him. And then the guy on the phone was like, "Hey, what's your kid doing over there?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Right behind you." She looked behind her. There's nobody behind her. She's like, "My kids aren't even home." So he saw what he thought was her kid running around behind her, and she said her kids weren't even home. So that upset her a lot. So that's why she got a hold of me. And, I went over there. The whole team went over there, and, they went out for a few hours and let us get in there. And it was a strange feeling in her house. It was like something was watching us the whole time. And they were nervous because it was really difficult. I was getting voices here and there on the spirit box I was telling you about. I didn't pick up any stick figures, but there was just this gnawing feeling that something is watching us. So I really didn't have a whole lot for her. I caught some orbs and stuff like that, but the orbs are always very debunkable, I guess you could say, because dust, and they had animals. So dog hair, any of that kind of stuff can fly up into the camera and, just look really eerie. But one I did catch, it kind of bumped my camera. It made my camera kind of shake a little, just a very little bit, and then you saw it kind of just glide across the screen. So I did show her that, and she said she wanted it blessed. She wanted all the negative, positive energy out of there. And so we went around the whole house saying, I put my bracelet, got my bracelet on, I got all my stuff. I went all around the house, every corner of every house, and a big thing that a lot of people don't understand when blessing houses is your intent has to be good. You can't just go in there and wave wave it around and the sage around and just say, hey, we're blessed. I mean, you gotta want to get rid of anything negative around. That's for sure.
Right. So with that investigation, how long did that take? Because if you're talking from the moment you get there, investigate, and then you identify, and then there's the, hopefully getting rid of this negative energy out of the house. So when it's an intense investigation like this, how long will it usually take?
Well, we went for once to check it out, scope out the house. We brought a couple things, and that took, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. Probably say an hour or 2 hours. Just to kind of get a feel of the place, and because a lot of times spirits and stuff like that, they sense that you're there, and they know why you're there, and so they hide. So that time we went there and checked it out for about an hour or so. And then when we come back the next time, a good 4 hours, I'd say. That's another common misconception about paranormal investigating is a lot of people think you just go and the ghosts just pop out and start talking to you. It's boring work for a normal person. It's a lot of standing around talking to the air, hoping something answers back. It's a lot of that. And a lot of people just think it's, all fun and, and then I have tons of people all the time ask me to take them with me on a ghost hunt, and I have to tell them, it's not going to be, super fun.
Yeah, so they're probably thinking the first day they're going to, it's like going fishing. You're going to think you're going to catch something. You might go the whole day without fishing, but then you catch that one fish that's going to give you a fight of your life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so before we continue with that, I'd like to invite the listeners to the Diego and Divorce Show to please visit our website, DiegoandDivorceShow.com, DiegoandDivorceShow.com. And while you're there, we're speaking of energy. Scroll down a little bit on the website and click on that Rogue Energy banner. Or you can go to RogueEnergy.com. Whether you're a pro wrestler, an entertainer, paranormal investigator, you're going to come across either some energy or you're going to need energy yourself. And Rogue Energy has all the flavors you need that will get you the energy you wanted. Originally designed for gamers and people who like to stay up all night. And we all know a lot about things about paranormal investigators and pro wrestlers. They all like to stay up all night to do what they have to do to get the job done. But I'm going to tell you how to do that job and save yourself 10%. Use the Diego and Divorce Show code, Diego Shift 7. Diego and Divorce Show. Diego and Divorce Show for 10% off your total order today. His Lordship loves Rogue Energy as I do. Like I said, investigating the paranormal, pro wrestling, it all takes energy. Go to RogueEnergy.com, use the promo code Diego and Divorce Show, save 10% off your order today. Back with my good friend now, Joshua from Para3vident. So we talked about earlier on who's in your crew and how it started. Can you give us a little background on how and when you decided to start the paranormal team?
Well, I'll tell you, it started when I got to go back for when I was real young. I've always had this, I'd say, obsession with death. I know that's kind of creepy as a child, but I was always just fascinated by death. And I guess that kind of came with me into my adulthood, I wasn't walking around talking about it or nothing, but it was always in the back of my mind. The fear of death, what happens after, all that stuff. And, as I got older, it seemed like, I watched, Ghost Adventures, shows like that, and I didn't realize you could do that, you know what I mean? So one day, me and my uncle are talking, I said, why don't we just do it, And why don't we buy some stuff and do it? And he said, oh, yeah, I'm in. So we got my girlfriend, she helps us out also. My dad, he gets in there. They film. It's awesome. Yeah. I love it. I mean, the goal is to do this, you know. I would love to have that be my job, to go around the country everywhere and just do it.
No, and you're actually providing a service
Yeah,
to the people who are asking you for help.
yeah.
Now, let's talk about that, because I know that we talked earlier. There's a lot of paranormal investigating teams out there, and people need to be very careful who they contact. Because we all know how this game is played sometimes.
Sure.
So, would a paranormal investigating team charge somebody for this?
I don't. I don't, because I'm trying to help people at this moment, and I'm really. I don't, but I've definitely heard of people that do. I feel so selfish. I mean, I feel like that would, somebody's asking me for help. I mean, I also say, yeah, that'd be $150 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just a hard thing to do. I mean, there's other ways to make money off of, this kind of thing, whether it be, YouTube or, TikTok or whatever, there's other ways you can get sponsored, stuff like that. It'd be very hard for me to ask somebody for money for something like that. I don't know.
I mean, especially if somebody is asking for assistance, especially with something as sensitive
Exactly.
as something, as something like this. So, well, you touched on it, so let's talk about your YouTube channel. What do you have? What's on there currently? Because I know that you have several things on there, and how often do you release these videos?
Well, we've had a little lull as of late. We're starting to get back going. COVID hit there for a while, and we kind of had to take a hiatus. Nobody wanted us in their buildings or in their houses for a while there. So we're trying to get back on to posting regularly. Right now, we have a good amount of content on there. We've got we're currently on season 2. We have a whole first season on there. It's good stuff. We were getting started. We're figuring, we're learning who we are. We're figuring ourselves out. But it's all honest to goodness ghost hunting.
Right. And so when you out there looking at these, not looking at the entities, but out there investigating,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we talked about that there's that eerie feeling you get sometimes, and you have to really deduct, could it be this, could it be that? So when a real deal thing happens,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to affect you physically and emotionally. So physically, is there does the room get cold? Do you get nauseous, goosebumps? What is it that?
Oh yeah, definitely. The hairs on I seem to always, my neck starts to hurt a little bit. I've heard a couple other people say stuff like that, but definitely goosebumps. You get the chills. You just feel it. I mean, you feel it running through your whole body. And cold, when it gets cold spots, definitely. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. So that's interesting to me, because I'm very curious. So when these entities, and I'll call them entities because I hate the term ghost, because
I know, me too.
it's so generic.
It feels degrading.
Exactly. So when these entities are present, so what is it about them? I know the human eye can't see a lot of things. I know animals can, and they can hear different things, but what is it about entities that I don't want to use the word sneaky, but that there's certain times where you see them and then you don't? Is there something, I'll use the term interdimensional, but is there a rip in the fabric of time to where they could temporarily go through and be seen, and then it's super quick? Because
it definitely feels like that. It definitely feels like maybe they are in another dimension or something like that, but I feel like they can be seen when they want to be seen. I mean, honestly, it doesn't always seem like they're peeking around the corner at you and stuff like that. Yes. How many videos have you seen where you see it poking around the corner, or you just see its head poking out? I mean, that's wild to me. I don't know why it's always in the back of my head, there's some ghost rule or something that they're not allowed to be seen, or they get in trouble or something. I don't know why. But that in the back of my head, because every time we pull the cameras out, they're always, it feels like they're always trying to hide from you.
Right, and I'm thinking, because this is where I try to separate that, and because I also have an interest in ufology too. And my thing is where ghosts, we can't really harm them because it's already been done. They're dead, and physically there's nothing we can do with them unless there's some sort of prayer, some sort of relic, or some sort of like you said, saging might get them to go away. Unlike maybe UFOs are maybe they're more physical to where we can possibly cause them damage somehow with a weapon or with our viruses of some kind. But
Yeah, no kidding.
which is why I'm wondering why ghosts. They can just say, "Look, here I am, MFer, and what are you gonna do?" But it's like, "Hey, how you doing?" They'll move some stuff and they're gone.
Right. I actually talked to my grandmother and I said, hey, like, don't take this the wrong way, but when you do pass, I'm going to need you to come and talk to me. She said, all right, I'm in, I'll do it for sure. So she was down. So, you know, I don't want her to pass, but if she does, we're going to talk. You know what I mean?
You don't want to disappoint. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that, so let's talk about as we talked about your YouTube channel and what you have, your content you have on there. Also, you have your Twitter and you have a Facebook as well. So what are your social medias? And so I usually end the show asking you all your social medias, but before I
Sure.
get to that, I'm a little bit ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Let's talk about actual things you have on video or audio, something that we can see, because I know sometimes orbs can be different. It could be an insect flying into the lens. It could be a piece of
Yeah.
dust that reflects from the light.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: there's this abandoned motel that is in my town. We did capture what I mean looks to us like a shadow figure's head peeking out of a window at us. That was pretty wild. We've caught like a black, look like, I don't know if you call it quite ectoplasma, but just a black fog, just kind of blowing like, and it's crazy. Right before that happened, I said, hey, I just heard something move. I just heard those blinds move over there. And as soon as we panned over with the camera and looked over at the blinds, and the blinds weren't moving, but right then you saw a black mask just kind of float away. That was pretty wild. And then, with the SLS camera I was telling you about earlier, we've caught a lot of figures in spaces that you would think they weren't. We caught right at two babies' graves. We caught two of those stick figures sitting next to each other holding hands. And we've caught a lot of, it's wild. We've caught a lot of voices, obviously, on the Spirit Box and different apps and stuff like that. The apps are really hard to convince people that they are legit, honestly. And some of them are hard to convince myself they're legit. Sometimes I feel like they are. Sometimes I feel like they aren't. It feels like, you got to musk through it. Like I said, common sense is a big thing in the field. For
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Lots of voices, definitely.
And has any of that, so we talked about the smoke. Is there any smell attributed to that smoke? Is there or anything residual?
Yeah, a lot of people will say that you smell smoke, like cigarette smoke.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that. I've smelled that. I didn't realize what it was at the time, but I looked into it, and a lot of people say cigarette smoke, different perfumes, colognes, people's smells like that, stuff like that.
Wow, because
Mm-hmm.
that would be great. I mean, if you could deduct anything other than the environment around you, if you're smelling cigarettes in a house that nobody smokes, and I'm not talking about apartment buildings. So you probably smell smoke in apartment buildings, but if you're in a home and nobody smokes, I mean, come on, there's got to be something to that.
Yeah, I got to tell you this one thing that happened to us. I'll tell you this: a ghost hunter's worst fear is not a ghost; it's a human being. That's for sure, and I got to experience that firsthand. Me and my uncle were doing these abandoned apartments, right? We had permission to be there and everything, but so we were there for an hour and a half. We get to this one apartment. We get in there. We start. It's got an upstairs, in the apartment. We go and we see like this brand new like iPad. We're like, whoa! So what is this doing in here, right? So we start hearing some fumbling around up at the top, and we're like, what the heck, right? So we start creeping up the stairs. My uncle says, stop. I said, what? He's like, there's somebody up there. And I said, no, there's not. Steadily, I'm getting, K2 hits, energy hits on the K2 meter. He said, no, there's somebody up there. And so we creep up, he peeks around the corner, and then all he sees is just like half a person's eye poking out of a closet. Dude, that was the scariest thing. Turns out the guy was homeless and he'd been staying there. He thought we were the cops busting in on him. That was probably the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
I mean, yeah, people are scarier than ghosts. You're right about that.
100%.
My gosh. So let's talk about something we spoke about earlier, and I'm not trying to get too ahead of myself, but I'm very interested because I know we're talking about relics earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only bring up two more of the famous things in our modern history, which is Robert the Doll, one of them. There's also one that was made famous by a movie, The Conjuring series, and the Annabelle series with Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
The listeners, they're not going to get to see this where I'm at. So to your left is I'll call it a relic, but it is a doll that you purchased, and when you opened it, and it's actually haunted, because I don't think items can be possessed, because people get possessed, but items are haunted. How does that work?
I'm not 100% sure how all that works, but they say that people's, spirit gets trapped in inanimate objects, and that seems to be a lot in dolls because they have a sort of human form in it. So I guess, I don't know, makes them feel more alive, I suppose. I don't know. But there are a lot of haunted dolls. This is Alex over here to my left, as you said. I got Alex off of Etsy. She's a good spirit. She's a positive spirit. I wouldn't allow any kind of negativity into my home. I mean, my girlfriend wouldn't allow it either, but I wouldn't allow anything like that crazy in my home. But this is Alex. She is very positive. She's very shy also. I haven't had her a very long time, so I'm still kind of getting to know her a little bit. But she has, I have these motion sensor balls. She's lit them up. She's given me energy spikes. I've heard her voice a few times. She said daughter, Abigail. I assume her daughter's name was Abigail when she was alive. I treat her like one of the family. I come in, I talk to her. I play music in this room with her, for her. I'm trying to find the right era that she was born in. So I started at the 80s, and I kind of worked my way down. I played the 80s, and she said stop. So I don't think she's
okay.
80s music. Yeah, I know, it's pretty wild, but so I've been going down and trying to find her some good music to listen to in here.
I understand. That'll be one thing I'll disagree with. 80s music was the best music, but then
I love 80s music also. That's why I started there.
So when you purchased the doll, was there any information passed on to you by the owner or the person that they bought it from? Because I know you said you don't have a real history on her, but what did they give you?
They just gave me her name. She told me she loved incense. There's a little she come with a little plushie toy. They said this is her favorite toy. She tried to do send me a video before I purchased her, of her talking to her using one of the apps we were talking about earlier. So I don't know a whole lot about her. I know that she came from a very old woman's collection, who had a bunch of spirited dolls like that. So that's really all I got on her right now. So I'm still trying to learn about her and stuff like that.
Well, half the fun is the research, and especially if you love what you're doing.
Exactly.
So when the seller sold uses the item, and I know she didn't give you much of a history, but was there a reason why they were selling it? Is because were they scared of it, or was it they didn't want to deal with what's coming with it?
She said I guess she has, like I said, it was she inherited the collection from the lady, and she just was trying to get rid of them, is what she said. I read there's a lot of her reviews, and a lot of people were saying good stuff about her. I didn't just go buy it on a whim. I didn't spend a ton of money on it either. So as far as I was concerned, if it was a good buy. And I'm super interested in learning about her and learning who she is.
Because right away it paid off almost on day one, right?
It was day one. It was day one when she was lighting the balls up for me. Mm-hmm. Day one, I couldn't even believe it. I said, "Wow!" And I wasn't moving. I was standing completely still when it happened. Because the very first time it went off, I said, "Whoa!" and I pointed at her, and I was like, "Well, maybe I moved. I shook the floor or something like that." you always got to, like I told you earlier, you always got to use your common sense first. Don't jump straight to that's a ghost. You know what I mean? Try
Right.
to figure it out before that. And naturally our brains do that. That's the good thing about having cats, though. Like I have, is I can always just shrug it off and say it was the cat. If I
Oh
hear
yeah.
like a creaking in the house or something,
You blame the cat for everything, or the dog. Trust me.
Exactly.
We'll go to, I know we talked about the origins of your team, but let me ask you, because any good wrestler, and it's something similar, always has that one or two wrestlers where they're my hero. That's who I make my style after. That's my influence. So in the paranormal world, two main people will pop up to your name. Some people say Lorraine Warren or Chip Coffey. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have gotten into paranormal investigating. So who are your paranormal icons
Oh,
or
I
idols that you?
I hate to sound like I hate to say like Ghost Adventures really made me realize it was a possibility. So I really like Aaron Goodwin from Ghost Adventures. He's awesome. Zach, I don't know if have you watched the show at all?
I watched usually when it first came on, and I
Yeah.
was also watching another one, and the name escapes. He was this young college guy, and he was always around with Chip Coffey. I forgot. I don't know what.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
sure. But I like Zach too. I mean, Zach Bagans and Aaron Goodwin. I mean, they really made me realize it was a possibility, something I could actually do with my life. So I guess I'd have to go there.
so what's the reaction? So, and I always brought it back to wrestling. That's my main thing. So
Sure.
outside of wrestling, and I'll call my real life or my normal life. When people find out you're that person, an investigator or wrestler, you could be an actor. What are the most common questions they ask you? Because I know it might seem silly to us that they're asking the same questions, but what is the common thing? Oh, so you do this. So what about this? What about that?
Well, first of all, they're always in shock. They can't believe that I do it because I don't just come out and say it. It usually is after I've known them for a while. But usually that, and then I feel like they kind of think I'm a little bit of a weirdo, but I'm all right with that, especially when they know I have a doll.
Right?
But they always want to, like everybody always wants to come with me on a ghost hunt, always, and then they always say, "Well, what have you caught? What have you caught?" That's the main one. Have you ever seen a ghost? I hear that all the time, and I still haven't actually. I mean, I feel like I've seen shadow figures and stuff like that, but I've never come face to face with a ghost, with a spirit, and just been like, "That is 100% a spirit. I know it." But I get a lot of those kinds of questions.
No, I mean, and I guess it would be normal to
Yeah.
whatever your expertise is, but what I always find interesting, sometimes I laugh, is when I watch some of those shows to where they actually see something. Sometimes we don't see it on camera or it just happens. They start running, like they piss their pants
I
running.
knew you were going to say
And
that.
so I'm like, well, if you're looking for it, you find it.
Yeah. It's hard, man. It's hard to keep your composure and like you get that fight or flight. Something freaky happens. Your first instinct is to run out the door.
Right.
It's hard not to. I try I'm not gonna say I haven't ran out of a house, but I have definitely walked fast. But I always try to turn around and remind myself this is why I'm here, and I've gotten a lot better about going towards the noises
Mhm.
rather than it's instinct. I guess.
No, I mean, yeah, you're right. And I would have thought, fight or flight. But I think once you identify what exactly is, I think you kind of just, okay, this is what I'm here for. Let's move forward, right?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
And then let's touch one more time because I know that we talked about the equipment that you use with the Spirit Box and
Hmm.
the Xbox. I'm not sure if it's a program or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
So what is the standard equipment that your team takes?
We take a EMF meter, which measures electromagnetic field. It has a light. It's got like a green, orange, yellow, red, and the higher it lights up, the more milligauss you're getting, which is the energy. It's your standard sound recorder, just a voice recorder, because a lot of times you can hear the spirits voices in the noise that you can't hear with your own ears. It's got, I guess it's the higher mic or something like that they're able to. I've caught a lot of EVPs like that. The Spirit Box is a big one. REM Pod is a big one. It kind of any kind of energy that gets close to an antenna poking out, it lights and beeps up, stuff like that. And then the motion sensor balls I was telling you about. And like the motion sensor balls are actually cat toys. Like I told you earlier, a lot of equipment that we use was generally used for something else. Basically, you just push the little light, and if it moves at all, the light goes off. Cats play with it and whatnot. And ghost hunters repurpose that for our own use.
Wow, man. Something so simple, you never thought that you can use it for that purpose.
Exactly.
So let's talk about, because we're be nearing the end of the show here pretty soon, and let's talk about your social media, because I know we talked about your YouTube. You also have a Twitter and you have a Facebook page. Just talk about that. So in case somebody, I know we're far away where I'm at in West Virginia, but in Alabama, somebody wants to know, hey man, this guy's close. Let's get a hold of him. How can they get a hold of you and your team?
Arkansas. I'm in Arkansas.
Was it Arkansas?
That's all right, though. No worries.
I said Alabama. I cannot edit that out of the show, but go ahead.
So you can get a hold of me. It's Para3vident. It's Para, the number 3, VIDENT. It's pretty much that everywhere. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It's Para3, VIDENT. And the 3 is the E. So that's basically the 3 is like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the beginning, the middle, the end. The number 3 is big in spirituality and stuff like that. So that's why the 3 is the E. We get a lot of people calling us Para3vident. So I figured I needed to explain that a little bit.
No, and I thought it was a pretty cool choice on how to make that different than just a regular name or a logo. Yeah. So thanks for the a little history behind the 3.
For sure, yeah.
So with that, going back to the relics real quick. So are you looking for anything else you're going to purchase, or do you own anything other than that one behind you?
I just recently started collecting stuff like that. But I also have a key that is it's for protection. It's supposedly got all the archangels. It's protected by all the archangels. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And I won it on a bid on eBay for like $150. So
that's not bad.
Yeah,
getting all that protection for $1.50. So
that's right.
All right, so we're talking about the social media. So let me get this out there to the Diego and DeVore Show listeners. Don't forget to visit the DiegoandDeVoreShow.com. DiegoandDeVoreShow.com. It helps support the show. So when you go on that website, you'll get to see the beautiful mug of your lordship and my mug. But scroll down and you'll see a lot of banners for a lot of our supporters. Please click on the Amazon, and I tell you, just click on that banner, go do your Amazon shopping as normal. And if you want to buy any items, there's no special sign up or anything. Log in as normal, make your purchase. It helps the Diego and DeVore Show, keeps the lights on, pay for the equipment, so we can keep having these awesome guests on our show. Also, while you're doing your shopping, it's never too early to start that Christmas shopping. We're not too far away yet again from Christmas. I guess earlier each year. Click on that Invicta banner. His lordship and I, we love to collect watches, and one of the watches we collect the most, the only watches we buy, is Invicta watches. It is the DeLorean of watches. Why is it the DeLorean of watches? Because it stands the test of time. It's a supernatural piece of machinery you can put on your wrist, and let me tell you, it's a watch that makes a statement. Get yourself, give your loved one, give your wife, your mother. Christmas is coming up. Win some brownie points with an Invicta watch. No special signups as well. Click on the banner, go straight to the Invicta site, and just a small portion will help the Diego and DeVore Show. DiegoandDeVoreShow.com, DiegoandDeVoreShow.com. Joshua, my friend, I could stand all night and talk to you about things. Now, I've had a lot of experiences in my life from the youth up until I came to the States that would be considered paranormal. When we stop recording, I'd like to run something by you that happened to me recently. Maybe you can help me see if there's something that, if I'm reading too much into it, or if it's just, there might be something there.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And then one more time, if you can just tell our listeners how we can find out more about Para3vident in Arkansas.
Yeah, check us out on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Twitter. That's Para3vident.
Awesome. And I know the world is opening back up slowly but surely. If you wouldn't mind coming back later this year and discuss some of the cases that you've investigated this year and tell us all about it, if that'd be great.
Most definitely. I'll try to have some awesome stuff happen to me, so I got some good stories for next time.
Please. We really appreciate that. So that time once again. So normally I say, tell Mr. DeVore to flex his golden titanium pipes of destiny and close the show. He's not here. So for his lordship and the Diego and DeVore show, this is your co-host Diego thanking you once again for listening to the Diego and DeVore show. And thank you to our new listeners in Bolivia. Muchas gracias. Please keep listening to the show. Thank you and stay safe.